In this episode of Performance Car Refurb, we start tearing the R32 GTR down to assess the damage under the surface. In Performance Car Refurb, we follow two fourth-year apprentices as they learn collision repair tips as they refurbish a Nissan R32 Skyline GTR, a hero and modern classic of the performance car world. This R32 will soon have the show to match its go.
When I first heard we were doing a GTR, just with previous experience, my heart sank, I'll be honest. Although there were problem areas, they weren't as bad as I feared.
I think the difference between doing a job like this on an older vehicle as opposed to 4 or 5 year old car is the unexpected. You don't know what's under that paint once you do start whizzing back and blocking back. You don't know how seals are going to be in windscreens and in windows. Open up the boot floor, you don't know what sort of rust or damage is going to be in under there. And in terms of the apprentices, I think it shows a different side of the repair industry where not everything is as easy as bolt on, bolt off, 1 or 2 coats of base, clear, repair it, back on the car, out the door. Restoration work does take a lot of time and effort, and I think they've gained a bit of respect, a lot more respect now for the work that restoration guys actually do, and I think that's a good thing.
As we took the mud guards off, we found a little bit of rust in the rear quarters, but again, nothing really serious, just wanted some small repairs. There were some previous filler repairs in both quarters, and I think we counted something like 6 or 7 layers of paint on the passenger side quarter and door. And there was other little things where things like the door handles had previously been red, so for some reason one of the door handles at least has been changed. We don't know why, but these are all things you just get. It's, you know, automotive archaeology at the end of the day. There were imperfections in the paint layers sort of underneath the base and clear that you could actually see. So the primers that have been used before, they look to be sort of water ingress, maybe from dirty air lines, you know, compressors not being filtered properly. And so the more we tried feathering back the old paint, the more flaked away, just because that primer hadn't adhered properly. So we did fight that a little bit. At the end of the day, we all know we're going to come across things like this. We knew that there'd been paintwork before. We could see that on the first visual inspections. It was just a case of trying to get rid of as much of that as we could. And in the end, we got rid of pretty much all of the previous paint that was on the vehicle. And then we know that we've done everything we can. We've, you know, abraded the surface as best we possibly could. Obviously, we've used all the best 3M products, and it's going to last the lifetime of the car now. So
it can be a little bit fun pulling cars down like that, and you get to reveal a little bit of history about the vehicle. Sometimes you find a little too much, but with this one we were pretty lucky to see some good stuff. There have been some previous repairs, some paint jobs, but it was all pretty manageable. So yeah, it can be pretty exciting to pull a car apart and go, oh, you know, it's had this over its life, and it's been through this, and so yeah, it's had an interesting life, that one, and yeah. Consistency and quality is really important when you're tearing into something like this. 3M provide a sandpaper that's really durable, and because of that, it speeds up the process. And so in areas that had a fair amount of build-up in the paint, so you're able to get it back to bare metal pretty quickly and then feather out those edges properly. And so something like their Cubitron is really helpful in creating that proper layering for the priming process.
Now that we know what we're dealing with, in our next episode, we cover the rust repairs before moving on to a feature about dealing with carbon and aluminium, a feature on plastic repairs, and then on keeping body lines on a car like this before we get into paint.